as a company switch to Schwab for the entire 401k?
I'm
Because
not,
it's not as,
there's still expenses. This gentleman that came to see you, somebody's got to pay his
Yeah,
salary.
that's right.
You're not paying mine, so
Right.
you're not paying the Schwab guy.
Right.
So there's still expenses to run your kind of a program.
yeah, there are.
Okay.
I mean,
And now that's
my payroll company, that's a whole nother, you
the
have
whole
to do.
thing. So I'm not suggesting, so this is a little unfair of me to do this, because this is Schwab outside of a retirement program. Outside of a retirement program.
Oh, I see, yeah. Right.
Now, you may ask me, why doesn't American Funds allow you to buy a fund at this level? That's a great question. An index fund at 0.04%. You won't find that. That's your list. You won't find that. I'm not trying to get into a battle with American Funds. They're the biggest in the world, and they're great, and you do Googles on them, and they're all good stuff. But, yeah. So I will encourage people to, as soon as they get out of the job they're in a retirement program, and then they can do it themselves, or as there's other alternatives in Schwab, they have something called the Schwab Intelligent Portfolio.
Yeah.
And then it'll cost anything. So these big guys are.
So Schwab runs their business on the assets that it holds
Yes.
and lending out money.
Exactly right. And at 3 o'clock every morning, I've read, 3 o'clock every morning, the president of Schwab just wants to see one number. How much new money came in. New money.
Right.
Because their business is built on generating assets.
Right.
It's like you saying, all I
Right.
wanted to know is how many new, you got a little sign there that
Right.
says, you 15 more people, I'll give you $4 million or something.
Yeah, right,
That's all they care about.
right.
And it's not sucking you out of your last dollar for buying and selling and all that kind of stuff. They just, it's exactly right, exactly right. That's a good point. Okay, so, and you can see that, and this is just FYI, I'm not making a big deal about this, but you can see the balanced funds have a higher expense than the regular funds, which makes sense, right? And why would that be? Why would the balanced funds have a higher expense than
Then the,
individual funds? All of these are higher than all of these.
why would the individual funds have a bigger?
Why would the balance funds, I mean, excuse me, I'm sorry, the target funds,
Because someone has to figure out.
which,
Yeah.
and you know what's in those target funds? These things.
Right. So they're just.
So there's, I keep blaming Noah for all this stuff, my grandson. So Noah's sitting around somewhere saying, I'm responsible for this. Which ones of these things do I want to
Yeah.
put in my,
Okay.
I just want you to understand that. I'm not suggesting you do anything.
Right, I hear
Right.
you.
Okay. So,
It's just FYI.
but that's where your money's going. So if you
Well,
look,
that's where part of your money, well,
Exact-
it's.
look at
it's-
page 33,
yeah.
if you have the book. Now, I put this chart when actively managed funds were slightly more expensive than they are today. But this is the same concept that we talked about compound interest.
Right.
Compound interest works the other way too. They take money out of your account, right?
Right.
You don't have it to invest.
Okay.
So it makes a difference. So do I pay attention to expense ratio? You bet. Do I always just buy the lowest? No. It's a balance. You know,
Right,
you know,
right,
this- But I'm very conscious of how much I'm spending to buy that mutual fund. Very conscious of it. Okay.
So at the end of the day, Cindy and I want to invest in a utility. It's the electric pumps that everywhere you go, if you have an electric car, you can go to Mom's and you can plug in.
Yeah.
So we want to invest in that company.
Okay.
But that company doesn't offer anything.
What do you mean offer anything?
There,
You don't
there's no
have
stock.
stock.
There's no stock.
No, you're just
There's-
going to be an official investor.
But you have to wait until they invite
Oh,
you. to
yeah, or you go
invest.
bankrupt. Yeah, it's what hedge funds do all the time.
Right, but how do you get that?
Well, you
offer?
got to be a big. They're not going to come to
They're not coming to
progression.
our house
They're not coming
to
to your
say,
house to for
Hey,
the
would you like to be a
$5,000.
part of our?
Right, but how
They're-
would you know if there was an offering?
Unless you have $50 million, they're not going to even bother with you. And you're not going to be in that world. You're going to go to dinner tonight with the other people that have $50 million.
Right, but okay, you don't have $50 million, but you know 50 people that have $1 million.
That's a different business.
Okay.
Now you're in a business collecting. I don't know how you do that
Okay,
business.
Okay. So there's just no, even though
No,
you know, you
okay.
just have to
and
wait
I don't
until
want to do it
they're-
anyway. So,
You don't want to invest into a company?
of course not.
Okay. But you invest into a company when you buy stock.
But I know it. Big cap, little cap, small cap.
Okay.
I can know what they're doing. I know
Right.
the dividends.
Okay.
Yeah. It's too risky for me.
Okay.
They could go bankrupt tomorrow. And there's no transparencies about their data.
Okay.
They're not on the New York Stock Exchange. They don't have to have quarterly out, and
And that's why Tesla was going to buy back their stock, so that
they are
wouldn't
on
have
the
to.
New York Stock Exchange.
Right, but there was a minute, an hour and a half, where he was saying that he was going to buy back all this
Well, that's a
stock.
different thing because he thinks the price is too low,
Okay,
and he's got all this money. He thought, he's losing $1 billion a day or something. I don't know. Makes no
Right.
sense to me.
okay,
He's losing money and he can't to buy back stock. You need cash.
right,
And so he doesn't have the cash,
Right.
but he's got these $50 million people who
Okay.
gave him
Okay.
$8 billion
right,
that they're going to be billionaires if the car company does well.
okay,
But if they lose their billion, they're not changing their lifestyle.
Right.
If you lose your
yes,
8,000,
yes, I would be.
there you do never do
Okay,
don't
okay, see, but this is good advice.
don't.
This is.
The day you write that check, assume it's gone.
Okay,
It's gone. And if
Right.
that changes your
It's like
lifestyle,
loaning to somebody.
and that's okay. You can do
Right.
that.
Right.
Your brother-in-law comes and got a hot deal. Okay, write the check and assume you lost it.
right.
And-
But I mean, to me, it just seems the wave of the future.
It's not
if
the wave of-
more
no.
cars are being electric.
You
That-
don't know about the company.
Okay. So
You can't invest in the thought.
okay,
I got a good idea. I'm going to invest $20,000 in the idea. There's no such thing. The company and how good they are and who they are and are they crooks and they stealing the money and the gazillion. You don't know.
Okay.
You don't know. You don't know. But people do it all the time.
right. Bet on what
Doctors,
you know.
lawyers. I mean, I can't tell you how many. The Wall Street Journal is always full of scams and doctors and lawyers in Florida investing their money because they're guaranteed 10% interest. I mean, it never ends.
Right.
Because always people are
Right.
scratching for that one extra percent.
Right. The Bernie Madoffs of the world.
You got it. You got it. And some of them are just crooks.
Right.
They're bad business people.
Right.
And they do things that don't necessarily help you. Okay. So you buy mutual funds, right?
Right.
You can buy them through American Funds, right down there. You can buy targeted funds. By the way, one of the reasons I don't like targeted funds, do not like targeted funds, is because it's targeted, they assume a curve that goes down based on your age of how much stocks you're going to have. Okay? That's the fundamental idea of a target fund. So you start off when you're 30 years old at having 90%, 90% stocks, right?
Yeah.
And as you get older, it goes down, and maybe when you retire, they
Right.
assume you're retiring at, I don't know, 60, you got 50-50, and then in retirement, you're down to 20%.
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
They're targeting that you're selling your stock off.
No,
Or-
they're changing the balance.
Okay.
They're selling your stock.
Okay.
They're buying bonds as you get older.
Okay.
And I'm asking the question, why do you want that?
Because of the amount of investment you're depositing into your account.
It's
goes
say $1
down?
million. You got $1 million in
But
American
it,
fund.
it,
They change the balance over time.
because they're assuming you're gonna now not put more in.
No.
Not, as you
No.
age,
Well, but they changed the balance that's already there. Suppose you got $1 million in your retirement account and you don't put any more
I
money
don't know
in.
why they do it.
Because the thought is that you want less risk as you get,
Oh, I see.
Okay,
and I think that's a fallacy.
Yeah,
yeah,
I do too.
yeah, since I was ready to buy into a company, not a thought.
Well, but I think, for example, I haven't changed the balance. I am 80 years old.
Please ask me before you do it.
Do not do that.
I'm not gonna.
Well, instead of doing that, if you're gonna invest 10,000, give me 5. I'll save you 5, and I'll quietly invest it for you. Trust me, and I'll give you back a dividend. I haven't
That's nice
changed.
of him.
It is very
I haven't
nice.
changed my balance in 50 years
What do you mean you're,
of stocks and bonds.
Okay,
I don't want anybody telling me that I
Right.
need less stocks than
Right.
bonds. God, who are they to know?
right,
And so when if you would ask people why are they doing this, they would say, well, you want less risk when you retire because you need your money to live on. That's the standard rubber
right.
stamp
yeah,
answer.
right,
But it's the wrong answer if you keep 3 years of cash.
right,
right.
Who cares?
right.
So that's exactly what Dave Weinstein
3
does.
years.
I got 3 years of cash in where?
In
T-bills.
T-bills, CDs, and mutual bonds.
And if the stock market goes to hell tomorrow,
Yeah,
it's okay. I don't. And stocks are only bad to have if you have to sell them.
right,
If you don't have to sell them, what do I care? If it's
okay,
big things to do. So I'm not a fan of target funds. I like the idea for people who won't pay any attention at all to it. In fact, I think there's a rule, and maybe it's even here, that when people sign up for retirement, first of all, you have to check the box not to have retirement. They've changed that about 15 years ago. 15 years ago, in a company, the box, when you signed on to like join Progressions,
right,
you had to check the box to get into your retirement program. Today, you have to check the box not to get into the
Right, right, right.
That has changed dramatically the amount of people in retirement programs for the positive. Because most people are lazy and won't check the box. So now the default is,
oh, they're automatically in the, oh, that's cool,
and you see that in Germany and France about donating your body if you get into an automobile accident. One of the countries checks the box that says yes, the others no, and most people in Germany donate their bodies because they don't, the default is.
right,
So
That's
it's all about the
default,
default. Now, I think, I read this somewhere, the default here, I think, is a target fund. Okay. So, I sign up for Progression's retirement. I think if I don't do anything, I get a target fund,
Right.
okay,
which is okay. Because
Right.
folks
right,
who don't pay any attention to this, it's okay.
right,
But as you get a little more sophisticated and you move your
Right.
stuff to Schwab, get out of them
Okay.
and buy the kind of stuff. And there's lots of options that you have when you go to other places, other companies. Okay, the last thing I want to mention is exchange ETFs. Now, an ETF, I have ETFs like mutual funds. As far as you and I are concerned, they're the same thing.
okay,
In your intelligence portfolio at Schwab, they're all ETFs.
okay,
How are they different in the mutual fund? From a pedestrian point of view, they're all the same.
okay,
You buy it and you sell it, and technically it's very different. But who cares? They started in 1993. 93. The other was started in what, 1925 or something?
I'm sorry, Dave, my client's here,
That's okay. Sure.
I'll be getting with you,
Okay.
okay, if my dryer comes, I'll be here next week.
Okay, so you can buy ETFs. They're like mutual funds. They start off as index funds in the beginning. So they had, they mirrored the index of S&P 500.
Mhm.
Um, and that whole class of mutual funds, of index funds, has in fact fundamentally changed the industry. Fundamentally. Because an index fund is a fund that only mirrors the top companies in this country. So you don't need NOAA.
It just mirrors.
Figure it
that.
out. You need Dave
Yeah.
Weinstein, who doesn't ask for a big salary. And I
Right.
can get online and run my little program and say, okay. This idea of investing in the top 500 companies
Yeah.
was written in 1940
Wow.
as the right way to do it. 40.
So index fund.
Index funds, index funds, index funds. That's all I buy is index funds. It has driven.
Makes sense.
It has driven many companies out of business because the smart Noahs of the world can't compete. They can't predict. They don't know from Schwab, from Apple, from Microsoft, from anybody else.
That's cool.
So that's, for example, if you look at my little chart here, that
So
points,
stock-
these are index funds. These are mutual, they could be ETFs.
So stock index fund, bond index fund, so.
There's not really a bond index fund
There isn't.
because stock index fund, it's easier. They try to call it that, but it's really not. S&P has been around a long time, Standard & Poor's. They started in the 20s with 6 funds, 6. I don't even know what they were. And they listed the top 6 in the country. So this has grown over the last 150 years, so now they issue the top 500 by multiplying the size of the stock times
Times that.
the price.
Interesting.
And it's weighted on that number. So, for example, Microsoft could be 3% of the size of the S&P 500. So if you buy an index fund, and it could be an ETF or a mutual fund, it could be either one, it's weighted based on the market capitalization of the top 500 companies. So you can buy Russell 5000. They got 5,000 things in there. So
As long as it's an index fund.
it's an index fund. And the expense ratio is trivial.
Really. Good to know.
That's
You smarty pants, you.
well, but you can get that if you open up a Schwab account.
I am
And
going to
then you-
open a Schwab account.
And then you can start either buying these kind of things, buy it, or they have the,
Can I move some of my 401k to a Schwab account?
I don't think you can, if it's part of progressions.
Okay. You have to open another one.
You have to open another one. You don't want to get rid of this one.
No.
Because it's,
So you just open another 401k.
But you can't contribute to it. If you contribute to this one, there's a maximum how much you can contribute.
So,
You can't do it while you're
so
working.
Robin's not contributing to this one anymore.
No, she is. No, I think she is.
But she has another one.
I
at
don't think she
Schwab.
has a 401, unless,
Oh, it's a-
unless it was a rollover from another
Oh.
company.
Okay. Oh, from another company. No, but she doesn't.
And she can't contribute to it.
She can't.
No, but she
Yeah.
has.
Okay. So confusing.
Okay, so the retirement program is from Progressions. So
Right.
That's where you're at, that's where you belong.
Yeah.
But if you're having money for now, outside of retirement, that you're saving,
Mhm.
and you want stock.
That could go into
Oh, Schwab one account.
Yeah.
That's what you first, that's exactly what you did. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I was working at the CIA.
Right.
What do I know? So I opened up a Schwab One account. As soon as I retired, I rolled over all the money from the CIA.
Into the Schwab. Got it.
And you're doing the same thing. You're sort of practicing with your
Yeah.
non-retirement.
Yeah.
And you can buy individual things, you can buy index funds, you can open up a Schwab Intelligence portfolio.
But if I wanted to, I could take my monies in American Fund and take it out of whatever it is and do index funds.
No,
Can't.
because they don't offer index funds.
They don't.
This is all.
Hi.
I got this from your book.
So they don't offer index funds because they're not. So the whole industry is to make money for them.
today,
Right.
literally today,
Right,
there was an article in the paper
about it?
about a rule change, and it's a little confusing to me, that they have to act in your best interest and not in their own.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You
gotten
look
better.
at, look at the, you
I
get the
will.
Wall Street Journal,
I
look
will.
at the, you'll see it today's paper.
Okay,
And so all of a sudden, you're dealing with these people that have an interest in what they sell you.
imagine that.
Imagine. Okay,
Thank you, Dave.
okay.
Always learn something, and it's good info.
Good, glad to help.
Hi.
How are you? Hi.
How you doing?